Welcome to Bookcast, where we bring you bestsellers in minutes. Today we're diving into a world of romance, revenge, and a touch of the circus with Scythe Sparrow.
Oh, yeah.
This is the final chapter in Brynne Weaver's New York Times best-selling Ruinous Love Trilogy.
That's right. If you've been with us for the deep dives on Butcher and Blackbird and Letter and Lark, this series is a unique blend of dark humor, vigilante justice, and some truly swoon-worthy romance.
For those just joining us, the protagonist, Rose, is a motorcycle-riding, tarot-reading circus performer who moonlights as a vigilante taking down abusers. But in Scythe Sparrow, she's forced to confront a shadowy figure from her past named Leander Mays, who seems to know more about her family history than she does.
It's fascinating how Weaver uses the circus setting to mirror the chaos and uncertainty in Rose's life. On one hand, it's a vibrant, exciting world of performance and spectacle, but it also represents a kind of transient existence, a constant state of movement that might actually be Rose's way of avoiding facing her past.
And then you have the contrast with Fionn, the small-town doctor who represents stability and a more traditional life. Their relationship is intense, to say the least, and it really forces us to consider if love can thrive amidst so much secrecy and violence.
And amidst all this, there's a question that keeps coming up. How far is too far when it comes to seeking justice? Rose operates outside the law using unconventional weapons like cocktail sticks and staple guns,
Right.
tools you might not even think of as weapons.
It's almost as if she's taking back those everyday objects, those symbols of domesticity, and turning them into instruments of power. It's like she's reclaiming her power in a world where women are often silenced or disregarded.
Exactly. And this idea of reclaiming power is woven throughout the entire book. Rose is a woman who has been deeply hurt, and her actions, while extreme, are a way of taking control in a situation where she felt powerless.
Early on, there's a scene where Rose gives a tarot reading to a woman who's clearly trapped in an abusive relationship. The woman is desperate for a solution, even suggesting violence. But Rose advises her to listen to her heart and trust that good things are coming.
That scene is so powerful because it shows the conflict Rose faces throughout the book. She's driven by this urge to right wrongs, but she's also aware of the slippery slope of vigilante justice. It makes you question, what are the limits of morality when you've been deeply wronged?
And that inner conflict is amplified by her relationship with Fionn, who as a doctor represents a very different approach to healing and justice. He operates within the boundaries of the law, while Rose exists in the shadows, often resorting to violence.
Their opposing worldviews create this undeniable tension, but there's also this electric attraction between them. It's as if they see something in each other that they're missing in themselves. Rose is drawn to Fionn's stability and compassion, while Fionn is intrigued by Rose's strength and resilience.
Their first encounter is pivotal. Rose, injured during one of her vigilante missions, breaks into a clinic, which of course turns out to be Fionn's clinic. She needs medical attention, and he provides it, but also finds her tools, the blood-stained evidence of her other life.
It sets the stage for their complex relationship. Fionn is clearly suspicious, but he's also drawn to Rose's mysterious aura. And Rose, who's used to keeping people at arm's length, finds herself opening up to him, albeit reluctantly.
There's this moment where Rose compares her life to riding the zipper at the circus, saying she likes to give it a test run every time it's set up. It's a perfect metaphor for how she embraces chaos and risk. But with Fionn, she's forced to confront the possibility of a different kind of life, one that's more grounded, more stable.
And that possibility scares her. It represents a vulnerability that she's not sure she's ready to face. It's almost as if she feels safer in the midst of the storm. The constant movement of the circus, the adrenaline rush of her vigilante missions.
Things take a darker turn when Rose runs into Matt Cranwell, an old enemy at a local bar. It's immediately clear that he's trouble.
Cranwell is a dangerous character with a vendetta against Rose. This encounter sets off a chain of escalating confrontations that threaten not only Rose's life, but also her relationship with Fionn.
Cranwell begins digging into Rose's past, uncovering evidence of her vigilante work, including her involvement in the disappearance of Eric Donovan.
This raises the stakes considerably. Rose is now fighting to protect not only her own secrets, but also the people she cares about, particularly Fionn. And as Cranwell digs deeper, we start to see the cracks in Rose's carefully constructed facade.
One of the things that makes Scythe Sparrow so captivating is that Weaver doesn't just give us Rose's point of view. We also get glimpses into the minds of other characters, like Fionn of his brother Lachlan, who's a former soldier with a rather pragmatic approach to problem solving.
It's through these multiple perspectives that we start to understand the complexities of their motivations. Fionn, the moral compass of the story, struggles with his feelings for Rose as he learns more about her dark side. And Lachlan, who operates in a world of shadows, finds himself unexpectedly drawn into Rose's dangerous world.
And let's not forget the glimpses we get into Leander Mays' thoughts. He's a chillingly calm character, with a seemingly limitless network of connections. It's clear he's playing a long game, and his motives are as mysterious as his past.
His presence in the story adds another layer of suspense. It's like he's a puppet master pulling the strings from the shadows, and Rose is just one of his players.
It's a web of intrigue that keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering who to trust and what secrets will be revealed next. But for now, we'll leave you with this. Rose is on a collision course with her past, and the consequences could be devastating.
Stay tuned, because in the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into the thrilling climax of Scythe and Sparrow and explore the thought-provoking themes Weaver leaves us to ponder.
And don't forget, this was Bookcast, bringing you bestsellers in minutes. We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into Scythe and Sparrow.
Welcome back to Bookcast.
We're picking up where we left off in Scythe and Sparrow, and things are about to get intense.
If you haven't finished the book yet, this is your spoiler alert.
Seriously, turn back now if you want to avoid those twists and turns.
Okay, so Rose is in a tight spot. Matt Cranwell is not just a threat to her safety, he's a threat to her entire world.
He knows about Eric Donovan, he knows about her vigilante activities, and he's not afraid to use that information against her.
It's almost like he's trying to force Rose's hand, to push her to make a choice that will expose her to the world.
And of course, Fionn is caught in the crosshairs. Cranwell knows how much Fionn means to Rose, and he's using that to his advantage.
This creates such a compelling ethical dilemma for Rose. Does she protect Fionn by turning herself in, or does she fight back and risk everything?
It's a classic vigilante trope, but Weaver adds these layers of emotional complexity that make it feel fresh and relevant.
Rose isn't just a superhero fighting for justice. She's a woman grappling with trauma, struggling to reconcile her past with her present.
And Cranwell, despite being the antagonist, is more than just a one-dimensional villain. He's a product of his own experiences, driven by a warped sense of justice.
There's this scene where Cranwell shows up at Rose's tarot reading tent, casually mentioning that Eric Donovan's truck was found at the bottom of a river.
That scene gave me chills. It's so understated yet incredibly menacing.
Cranwell isn't shouting or making threats. He's just stating facts, but the implication is clear. He's in control, and Rose is running out of options.
It's a turning point for Rose. She realizes that she can't hide anymore. She has to confront Cranwell, but on her own terms.
And that's where the haunted house comes in.
Oh, the haunted house. It's not just a setting, it's a character in itself.
It's this space of shadows and secrets, where reality and illusion blur, and it's the perfect battleground for Rose and Cranwell's final confrontation.
Rose uses the haunted house to her advantage, turning it into a labyrinth where she can outmaneuver Cranwell and use her unique skills to trap him.
She's not just relying on brute force. She's using her intelligence, her knowledge of the environment, and her understanding of human psychology to gain the upper hand.
And let's not forget those unconventional weapons, the cocktail sticks, the staple gun. They become symbols of Rose's resourcefulness, her ability to find power in the most unexpected places.
It's a reminder that even the most ordinary objects can become weapons in the right hands, especially in the hands of someone who has been underestimated and marginalized.
The fight scene in the haunted house is chaotic, brutal, and visually stunning.
Weaver's writing is so evocative. You can practically hear the creaking floorboards, smell the musty air, and feel the adrenaline pumping through Rose's veins.
But beyond the physical action, there's this emotional undercurrent that makes the scene even more impactful.
Rose is fighting for her life, but she's also fighting to protect a part of herself that she's kept hidden for so long.
And it's in this moment of extreme vulnerability that Fionn sees Rose for who she truly is, not just the daredevil, the vigilante, but the woman who has been broken and rebuilt herself stronger and more resilient than ever before.
It's a transformative moment for their relationship. Fionn finally understands the depth of Rose's pain, the weight of her secrets, and the reasons behind her actions.
He sees her strength, not just her darkness, and that acceptance lays the groundwork for their reconciliations.
But just when we think the dust is settling, Weaver throws in another twist. Leander Mays arrives.
Talk about an entrance.
Leander's presence changes the entire dynamic of the story.
He's not just an observer, he's a participant, and his motives are as opaque as ever.
We learn that he's known Rose's family for a long time, and he possesses knowledge about her past that could shatter everything she believes to be true.
The revelations about Rose's family history are both shocking and heartbreaking.
They shed light on the roots of Rose's trauma and her need to seek justice. But they also raise more questions about the true nature of her connection to Leander Mays.
Is he a protector, a manipulator, an enemy in disguise? Weaver keeps us guessing until the very end.
Leander's involvement adds this element of psychological suspense that's both fascinating and unsettling.
He's like a chess master, always thinking several moves ahead, and Rose is just a pawn in his game.
And speaking of pawns, we can't forget about Fionn and Lachlan. They're caught in the middle of this power struggle, forced to make choices that could have devastating consequences.
Their loyalties are tested, their bonds are strained, and they're both forced to confront their own limitations.
Lachlan, the pragmatist, the soldier, is willing to bend the rules to protect the people he cares about.
And Fionn, the doctor, the healer, finds himself grappling with the moral implications of his actions, the line between doing what's right and doing what's necessary.
The haunted house showdown leaves everyone reeling. Rose and Fionn have survived, but their world has been irrevocably altered.
They're both physically and emotionally wounded, and they're left to pick up the pieces in the aftermath.
There's this powerful scene where they're sitting on the floor of Fionn's clinic, surrounded by the remnants of the fight.
They're exhausted, vulnerable, and stripped of all pretense.
It's a moment of raw honesty, where they finally allow themselves to be seen by each other, flaws and all.
And it's in this moment of shared vulnerability that their love for each other shines through stronger than ever before.
They recognize that their connection is deeper than the secrets, the lies, the violence that has threatened to tear them apart.
But the road to reconciliation is far from easy. Rose is still haunted by the revelations about her past.
And Fionn is still wrestling with the knowledge of Rose's vigilante activities.
Their love is tested, their boundaries are pushed, and they're both forced to make sacrifices.
But their commitment to each other remains steadfast, a beacon of hope in the midst of the darkness.
The ending of Scythe Sparrow is both satisfying and bittersweet.
Weaver manages to tie up all the loose ends, while still leaving us with a sense of wonder and possibility.
Rose and Fionn find a way to move forward to forge a future together, but they're both forever changed by the events that have unfolded.
And as we close the book, we're left with a lingering question. Can love truly conquer all?
Or is it just a temporary reprieve from the chaos and darkness that inevitably surrounds us?
That's the beauty of Weaver's writing. She doesn't provide easy answers, but she challenges us to grapple with these complex questions and to find our own truth.
And that's what makes Scythe Sparrow such a compelling read.
Now, we've covered a lot of ground in this episode, but there's still so much more to explore.
In the final part of our deep dive, we'll delve into the broader themes that Weaver weaves throughout the Ruinous Love Trilogy.
We'll talk about the exploration of violence against women, the importance of found family, and the search for a place to truly belong.
And we'll consider how Scythe Sparrow challenges us to think critically about justice, morality, and the power of love and forgiveness.
So stay tuned for the final chapter of our Bookcast deep dive into Scythe Sparrow.
Welcome back to Bookcast. As we wrap up our deep dive into Scythe Sparrow, I want to step back from the twists and turns of the plot and focus on the broader themes that make this book and the entire Ruinous Love Trilogy so impactful.
I think one of the most striking aspects of this series is the way Brynne Weaver addresses the issue of violence against women. It's a theme that's woven throughout the story, but it's never sensationalized or exploitive.
We see it in the coded messages Rose picks up on during her tarot readings, the subtle signs of abuse that often go unnoticed by others. And we see it in the scars Rose carries, both physical and emotional, from her own experiences.
It's clear that Weaver has a deep understanding of the complexities of this issue. She doesn't offer easy answers or simple solutions. Instead, she presents us with characters who are grappling with the aftermath of trauma, trying to find ways to heal and reclaim their agency in a world that often feels hostile and dangerous.
Rose's vigilante work, while morally ambiguous, is a direct response to this systemic failure to protect women. She's taking the law into her own hands because she feels that traditional systems have failed her and countless others.
And her choice of weapons, those everyday objects like cocktail sticks and staple guns, speaks volumes about the way women are often underestimated and dismissed. She's taking back those symbols of domesticity and turning them into instruments of power.
But there's also a constant tension between her desire for justice and the potential for her actions to perpetuate the cycle of violence. It raises questions about the nature of revenge, the limits of morality, and whether violence can ever truly lead to healing.
It's a question that Weaver invites us to consider without offering any easy answers, and it's what makes Scythe Sparrow such a thought-provoking read. It challenges us to confront uncomfortable truths about the world we live in and the ways in which we respond to injustice.
Another theme that really resonates throughout the series is the idea of found family. Rose, who has a complicated and traumatic family history, finds a sense of belonging in the most unexpected of places, the circus.
The circus becomes this vibrant, chaotic microcosm of society, a place where outcasts and misfits can find acceptance and support. It's a stark contrast to the darkness and secrecy that surround Rose's biological family.
And it's through her relationships with the other circus performers, the roustabouts, even the animals, that Rose begins to understand the true meaning of family. It's not about blood ties or shared history, but about the people who choose to love and support you no matter what.
Her relationship with Fionn and his brothers also speaks to this idea of chosen family. They come from different worlds, different backgrounds, but they're drawn together by their shared love for Rose and their willingness to fight for each other.
And their bond evolves throughout the series as they learn to accept each other's flaws and embrace the complexities of their relationships. It's a testament to the power of love and loyalty to transcend differences and create a sense of belonging.
And finally, Scythe Sparrow explores the idea of what it means to find a place where you truly belong. Rose's journey is one of constant movement, both physically and emotionally. She's always on the road, running from her past, seeking justice, trying to find a place where she can finally feel at home.
And it's through her relationships with Fionn, his family, and the circus community that she begins to understand that home isn't necessarily a physical place, but a state of being. It's about finding people who see you, accept you, and love you for who you truly are.
In the end, Rose finds a sense of belonging in the most unexpected of places. She finds it in the arms of a man who embraces both her light and her darkness, and in a community that celebrates her unique talents and quirks.
And that's the ultimate message of Scythe Sparrow. Even in a world filled with chaos and darkness, it's possible to find love, acceptance, and a place where you truly belong.
If you're looking for a book that will challenge you, move you, and stay with you long after you've turned the final page, I highly recommend Scythe Sparrow. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out the first 2 books in the Ruinous Love Trilogy, Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark. They lay the groundwork for Rose's journey and introduce a cast of characters you'll quickly come to love.
That's right. This was Bookcast, bringing you bestsellers in minutes. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Scythe Sparrow. Until next time, happy reading.